Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So this will be my second video, second episode of my philosophy channel on YouTube. And I guess at this point I'd like to state that yeah, I'm starting with really metaphysical questions like what is God and if consciousness goes on after death. Trying to start like yeah, basically with stuff that nobody can give a clear answer, right? It's really easy to start there. But there is some purpose to it besides that. I'm trying to set a really solid foundation on, that will sort of serve as a foundation for my whole meta philosophy that guides all my philosophical ideas. The foundation is, meant to give some meaning and purpose to the very act of philosophizing, if that's a term. Um, you know, I hope to not prove, but establish that there's good reason to believe that there's a God and that your consciousness goes on after death, and that hopefully will, reduce some nihilism and elicit a response of responsibility and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm starting with really deep questions, but I do hope to move on to more worldly types of philosophy as the show progresses. It's going to be a pretty small, low, quick episode, I guess, 'cause I'm exhausted and it's almost a sort of wrap up to the last episode. So I left off claiming that, you know, asking if consciousness goes on after death. I couldn't answer it, so I had to take a little break and sort of gather my thoughts and contemplated the whole thing a little bit. And so the conclusion I came to is that it's actually easier for me to prove that there's some sort of a God than it is to prove that your consciousness goes on after death. You know, um, yeah, the whole consciousness after death one's a bit of a brain teaser, but I'd say there's a good chance. I think to sort of see how it could be, it's a very, very, very intuitive exercise. It's not the sort of thing you can prove in any traditional sense. You know, I mean, there's the evidence of near-death experiences and people consistently seeing their loved ones when they're on their deathbeds. That's one part of it, and people who see the light and come back from that. Now, a lot of people say that's just chemicals being released in your brain right before death, and one question I have though is how would we evolve to do that? What would be the purpose of that, evolutionarily speaking, to calm you and make you happy right before death, right? Like, I don't see the evolutionary sense of that, But I don't completely understand evolution either, so not gonna completely dispute that one. I'm just saying, there is a lot of reports of this stuff, and a few reports of people seeing things that they could not possibly have known, and then they sort of recounted. Nothing in the realm of overwhelming evidence, but you know, again, the possibility is there. But that's not what'll bring you to the conclusion that consciousness goes on after death. That's not what'll do it. What will do it is really, really just an intuitive sense that consciousness is an eternal state that you partake in different forms in this universe, and that there is transitions in that consciousness. And really, this is very intuitive. Like it's something you could bring about with meditation, possibly contemplation, and you'll get to a place where you just know. I believe. I'm not quite there. I've tasted it, though. I've been in that state. I've fallen since. But you could get to a place where you just know, just as surely as you. Okay, I think of when you're dreaming, right? You ever had a dream where you wake up in the dream and you're like, oh, wow, that dream was, whatever, horrible or exciting or whatever it is, right? And you get up and move around and then you wake up again. Basically, you were in a dream within a dream, right? And so you wake up a second time, and now you're awake, like you're literally awake, right? And You're like, oh, fuck, that was weird, a dream within a dream, but now I'm awake. Now I know I'm awake, and nobody can convince you of otherwise, right? Yet, in the second dream, not the first dream, but the first time you woke up and thought you were awake, but were actually still dreaming, you were convinced you were awake. Nobody, like, there was no doubt in your mind you were awake. But you were wrong, right? You weren't. Then you woke up again. But now you just know you're awake. And now there's like no, it's difficult to explain, but just as surely as no one can convince you right now that you're actually at home asleep in bed, just as surely as you know that you are in fact awake, people who meditate and go really far with it apparently claim that they have that level of intuition on the matter that consciousness, goes on after death. So, kind of have to take them on faith, But again, personally, I've tasted this sort of intuitive knowledge, and it made me believe that it does. Consciousness does indeed go on, and yeah, of course, it's a very pleasant thought, right? There's always that. It's the whole wishful thinking thing, right? So it's very easy for you to dispute this one, and I don't blame you if you do. And I won't say I'm 100% convinced myself, but I'm definitely willing to entertain the idea and run with it, and live as if it is indeed a definite thing, because that benefits you in so many ways. Like, but again, that wouldn't itself be a strong enough case for me. Okay, the fact that it's nice to think that it goes on, and you can't prove it doesn't. That's not where I'm standing on this. I'm saying that's one of them, but the main, the main point for me, in terms of my belief, is the just that intuition that I've had at some point, where I've connected thoughts in such a way they just make perfect sense to me that consciousness is eternal, and not only that, your consciousness is the very essence, the consciousness of God, and it returns to that in some way. That's my main, reason for believing this. So, and as for the accounts of people who have, that's not enough for me either, because there's accounts of people who have seen Bigfoot, right? So, no, that's really, for me, it's just that intuitive knowledge, and also synchronicity. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it seems the more spiritual you get, the more into that sort of stuff you get, the more these synchronistic coincidences actually occur in your life. Right? It becomes, at some point, it actually becomes really hard to explain them, just logically, without there being some kind of. Anyway, I mean, I'm not gonna get into it because this is not one of the big topics for me. I just wanted to set this foundation, the last episode on this one. And now I'll move on to more worldly matters, things that might be more engaging for you, the audience. And I'll leave the extreme metaphysical at that. So thanks for listening. Hope it was somewhat enjoyable at least. And please tune in next time.